Place there is a portrait of Kate Shute. Here, I'll see you back here. So, I've seen it before. That's Kate Shute Croft on her wedding day in 1888. And she and William were married right here at Grassmere. During next year, 1889, her daughter Margaret was born. And in 1894, their daughter Elise was born. Those were the two who grew up to be the ladies who donated the house and the property to the zoo. So in 1902, William Croft moved the whole family to Havana, Cuba. Sounds kind of strange to us today, but at that time, there were a lot of business opportunities in the sugar industry. And William Croft, he actually succeeded very well with his business. He opened a concrete business there and made quite a bit of money, did very, very well. So he loved living in Cuba. And his two girls, Margaret and Elise, loved it as well. But Kate, their mom, got very homesick for Tennessee and for her sisters here. And so she would bring the girls back and forth very often to Tennessee. And whenever they came back home, they would use that bird cage way back there in the corner. If you guys want to turn and look, they would bring that bird cage back with them because they would always try to bring an exotic bird or two home from Cuba as a pet and as a reminder of Cuba, which they loved, and also because they loved animals so much. Margaret and Elise, that was probably their main passion in life, was animals, all kinds, especially birds. Now over here, between the two windows, you can see a portrait of Margaret and Elise's great-grandmother. Her name's Lavinia Lanou. That portrait was made in 1836 when she was only 19, and she actually died the very next year when she was 20. And the reason she died was one of the most common reasons women died in the 1800s. Any guesses?
Childbirth.
Oh my gosh, you all got it.
She was a grandma, right?
If only I had prizes to pay. That's right. She died of complications from childbirth with her only daughter, Lavinia Hilliard, who's over there in the ladies' parlor in the oval frame. You guys met her earlier. But if you look again at Lavinia Hilliard's portrait over there in the ladies' parlor, look at her brooch, and you'll see it's a miniature of that very portrait of her mother. So even though they never really knew each other, they did have a strong mother-daughter connection in their way. So you guys have any questions so far before we go upstairs about the house or the family?
Can you talk about the pictures on the door? Is that like the original?
This is the wallpaper that Margaret and Elise lived with, so it mostly dates to like the 1950s, 1960s. So it's what they had, but it's not really old wallpaper. When the zoo took over, they had to replaster all the walls because of water damage. So this is just to show more like what Margaret and Elise had rather than, you know, it's not the original wallpaper of the house or something like that.
I like it.
Yes, all the wallpaper samples you see, that applies to. Yeah, any other questions? All right, well, we're going to go on upstairs. We'll see the 4 bedrooms and learn a little bit more about how the zoo came to be here. So you guys head on up and I'll be right behind you.
Not that you were right away. I'm getting kind of creeped out. Portrait section? Oh, this feels sick. Maybe these small spaces a lot of people. I think so.
Oops, sorry. It's like, it's okay. We're halfway through.
We got enough. We can go as buddies for even amount. Everyone hold hands. Don't lose your buddy.
Sarah, they're not as bad as the swimsuit Belmont.
Okay. Belmont's such a terrifying.
Especially in those shoes.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Those are not stair climbing shoes, really.
Those are the I'm either gonna rock forward or fall backwards shoes.
Fall down. Oh.
Oh, that's so cool. I would love to have staircases like that.
Oh, look, that's the window bicep.
Ah, that's so cool. If I were to build a house, I'd do that.
Excuse me, everybody.
We're just getting all excited about it.
It's
So
old
downstairs
stuff.
we were talking about Margaret and Elise Croft. And over here on this wall you can see a nice photo of them when they were young girls with their mom Kate. And that's Elise in the center, Margaret's on the right, and of course that's their mom, they're on the left. And down below you'll have to take turns, but on that chest in the center photo is a nice picture of them when they were older ladies here at the house. Margaret's on the left in that picture, Elise is on the right. And in the center, we don't know that lady, unfortunately, but that's their little dog, Brownie, down on the floor. And Margaret and Elise always had lots of pets, so little Brownie appears in quite a few pictures. Now I'm going to point out the different bedrooms. There's so many of you, you guys will just kind of have to mill around, but I'm going to start talking about the back bedroom in the left over there on my left, which is the children's bedroom. So you guys just walk around, take turns looking in. That's the children's bedroom. And you can see in there we have a children's size sleigh bed and some toys and books from the Victorian era. And we also have a cradle in the back.
Suddenly Jaws.
In the front we have some of Margaret and Elise's own books. We have The Secret Garden and Little Women and books that people still read today that Margaret and Elise were reading 100 years ago. Also some of their school books. They went to school, both here and in Cuba. And they may have even gone to a finishing school in France, although we haven't been able to confirm that for sure. And the bear that you see on the trunk there in the front of the room was hand-carved by their grandfather, William Dixon Shute, in the 1850s, and was passed down to Margaret and Elise as a family heirloom. So now if you want to go straight across the hall from the children's bedroom, that other back corner bedroom is the guest room. And in the guest room, there's a full-size Teaster bed and also a trundle bed that we have pulled out for extra sleeping space. And the dresses you see in there were made by Margaret Croft, who was a very talented seamstress. Also in there, you can see some of the trunks and suitcases from the family's various travels. Margaret and Elise went back and forth to Cuba many times. And they even took some trips to Europe as well as young ladies. Over here at the top of the stairs, that bedroom is Margaret Croft's bedroom. And in there you can see another full-size Teaster bed, a little fancier than the one we had in the guest room, and also her sewing machine, which is an 1899 Singer sewing machine. And we even still have the owner's manual for that in the collection. So Margaret and Elise saved everything. As I mentioned, she was a really talented seamstress. She made a lot of clothes for herself and her sister. And she even opened a shop with some other ladies in the 1930s called the Lookout Shop, where they sold things that they had made and by other people as well.
I feel like they're right there.
They specialized in Southern and Appalachian crafts. Now the last bedroom here is the one closest to me, and that's Elise's bedroom. And her furniture is called cottage style. It dates from the 1850s. And it's actually kind of rare in this condition. It's painted furniture, and people over the years tend to paint over things. So we're actually lucky to have the original paint on that furniture. Straight ahead in her room is her Red Cross uniform. Elise and Margaret were both very active volunteers for the Red Cross. And this is one of her dresses from the 1950s. They volunteered both here and in Cuba, and that one's one of her American dresses. Anybody have any questions about the house or the family or anything at all so far?
The quilt top that's on this bed back here, is that original?
It's not original to the house, but it was made by a family member, sort of like a distant cousin, and it was only donated to us fairly recently by a descendant. A couple of years ago they donated it. It's really on loan, I believe, but it is from one of their distant relatives.
It looks like vintage fabric, that's why I asked.
It's so pretty. Yeah, it really is a vintage quilt top. It just, it wasn't here when we got the house. It was donated later. Any other questions, you guys?